First of all, congrats to Duke. They're an outstanding team, very talented. They have a really good mix of older guys, what's considered old in college basketball today, and some really, really talented freshmen. And when they shoot the ball like this, they're going to be hard to beat. Today's game and their last game, they've made a total of 26 threes. And then they've done it in a very efficient manner. And so, again, I thought we were really excited for the game. Our guys were. I mean, really, really excited. And I thought that led early to us doing some things that weren't in character with what we've worked on the past few days and even earlier in shoot-around of how we wanted to attack. Sometimes you can be too excited, too juiced up. I thought as we got into the game, especially the second half, offensively we were better, but we never were able to get a grasp on the game defensively. And a big credit to them because they made like every shot. And so, again, congrats to them. This is the first, I think, ACC regular season title they've won since 2010. I think they have a chance to win it outright on Saturday, and so good luck to them.
Jeff, in those opening minutes, or what specifically wasn't in character for?
Well, I would say in character is probably not the right thing. That's probably not the right thing to say because I don't know what the character is. But we just didn't execute what we wanted to execute. That's probably the better way to say it. You know, we had something that we wanted to run at the beginning of the game. We've worked on it for a couple of days, and then we got out there, and first time we get the basketball, we never really got into it. You know, defensively, we're supposed to switch at times and early, and we switched, but then we left the guy wide open. It was like we didn't communicate the switch. And so it's just plays like that, and they made us pay for it every time.
Did you see a lot of defensive breakdowns, or did you feel like it was just more of really talented players making shots?
I thought it was a little bit of both. I thought it was a mix of both. At times we did have some breakdowns, and when you're talented like that, they make you pay. But then they're very talented, and they just made some, really big-time individual one-on-one plays.
Jeff, what were your emotions pregame? Coach Capel mentioned he was emotional about that.
It was weird, man. It was very strange because as I got here tonight, and when we went in and did the pregame talk with our guys, and I went back to the little room where I sat, I texted my wife and I said, for some reason, I just got really emotional. And I didn't really understand it. And obviously when I came out and saw him and then seeing the video and the presentation to him, I mean, it was very, very emotional. Like it's weird to think that the guy that I've known as the Duke coach basically my whole life, it's the only coach that I've known at Duke, that this would be the last time that I would be on the floor with him. You know, as a player, coach, coaching against him, and it was a little bit surreal. So it was emotional.
What's the significance of the fist to you?
Well, it means a lot. I believed in it since I was 17 years old, and that's what I told him when I gave it to him. I committed to Duke as a junior, and I was 17. And I believe in every word of it. I use it in my home. It means a lot to me. I think there are words certainly that have helped make that program. I think it's the premier program in all of college basketball. But more importantly, I think it's helped all of us that have worn that jersey. I think it's helped us become better men. And so that's what it means to me.
How heavy was that thing?
It wasn't as heavy as I thought it was, but it was sort of heavy.
So the message goes beyond basketball?
Message goes beyond basketball. It goes beyond basketball. And again, when I played there, I learned about it. It's something that, we talked about as players, upholding it, upholding those words, upholding the tenets of the program, playing for the guys before us, the guys that, made the program what it is. There was a lot of pride. My 4 years there weren't easy. We went through some crap. I was on maybe the worst team ever at Duke. We played for a national championship my freshman year. My second year, we were 2-14 in the conference. And my junior year, we were 8-8 in the league. Made the tournament, got beat in the first round. And so we had to go through a lot. And overcoming that, getting stuff said about you at 18, 19, 20 years old, stuff written about you, getting booed, which I did as a senior, it was difficult. But I'm so grateful for it because I wouldn't have been able to go through the things that I've had to deal with in my life once I left Duke if I didn't have those experiences and know that I can be strong in those situations. And the other thing that it did is that it formed some incredible bonds with teammates. And I don't think it's ironic that if I say my best friends, they're guys that I played with there. And they're guys that I fought with and we overcame stuff. And so as a player, for me, the proudest thing as a player, when I wore that jersey is that we won the regular season my senior year, even more so than the Final Four my freshman year. And I was a starter. The Final Four was in Charlotte. It was home for me. But what we were able to overcome and to do it together and to win the regular season my senior year is the thing that I was most proud about because of what we had to fight through.
Jeff, he talked about how close he was with your father, and what did he mean to you? Not just you as a coach or a mentor in the game, but also just personally in your relationship all away from the game.
Yeah, one of the reasons I chose Duke is that he reminded me of my dad. I grew up a Carolina fan, and I would tell my parents every day when I was little that I'm going to Carolina to play for Coach Smith. And Carolina was the first ACC school to offer me that I remember. Duke offered shortly after, and it was after my 10th grade year. I went up there at some point, I think it was like in April, late April, for an unofficial visit. And I spent probably an hour with Coach. And it was during that conversation, that hour, when we left, I knew that's the guy I want to play for because he reminded me of my dad. And how he reminded me of him, I think they both have a military background, but it was brutally honest. That's what it was. Like if anyone knew my dad, you never had to guess where you stood. And that's the way Coach was. He didn't promise anything except for a fair opportunity and I'm going to coach you hard and I'm going to teach you and all these things. And it just reminded me so much of him. And so that relationship, look, when I was 17, if you would have told me in my 40s my coach would be my friend, I would have thought you were out of your mind. Because it was at times rocky. Being his point guard is difficult. There's a lot that's demanded. And there were a lot of things that he said in the moment at times that I didn't want to hear, that was very hard to hear, but it was necessary. And, he's been there with me through everything, good, bad, tough times. When I think of since I left there, all the things that I've been through, he's been the guy he's been one of the people that's been there for me. So the relationship means the world to me.
You've told us before about like stories from your freshman year where he gave y'all a rough speech and left the bus. And,
Rough speech.
Yeah, saying it nicely. But he's had this moment. He talked about it because I asked him about that. And he was like, Jeff came up in a different era when you could talk a different way. But I guess what is you gleaned from that. But what things have you kind of learned from him, and has there been stuff that you've helped him in reciprocating? It's like, hey, this is the way that the game is going.
No, I don't think. I think one of the things that I think the biggest thing that's made him great throughout, and this is a man that's been great in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2000, and now in 2020. I think the thing that's made him great is his ability and willingness to adapt. I think he's really, really smart. I actually think he's brilliant, and I think he's smart at reading and seeing people and understanding that he has to change. It doesn't mean that the standards change, but the approach with a relationship, it is different. Like the way that he could talk to me and my teammates, you cannot do that anymore. Some of the things that he did, some of the, the way he talked, the way he did a lesson, you have to be careful with that stuff now. And I think, the fact that he can understand that, he can see that, and he's been able to change and adapt. I don't think anyone has done. I think he's just been observant and been willing to change.
Do you coach your team like he coached you?
You can't. No. I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't. I don't think any coach now back in the 90s can do, say, or whatever. I don't think we're in a very, very different time, and so to a certain extent now, like, you have to be really careful. You have to be really careful. I mean, there was a coach, I'm watching Wisconsin right now, and I'm reminded, like, they had somebody recording in the locker room, players recording the coach, and took it and it got to the media. So it's a very different time now, man. And so you have to be. I try to have some of the same standards and the things that I taught, but like the approach is very different.
Jeff, I don't know what you said to your guys after the game tonight, but I mean, after a difficult loss like this with the season winding down, I mean, when you talk to your guys, like, what in them do you try to appeal to? Is it pride, competitiveness?
After a game, I don't say much because I don't want to say anything with emotion. I learned that when I was a younger coach. After a game, I would get these long talks and I was emotional because you're emotional. Like, you're in competition. And there were times when I would get on them and I'd go back and watch the tape and, gosh, we didn't play that. We didn't do this. Or I would praise them and I'd go back and, like, we didn't play well. Like, we didn't. And so after a game, I'm very brief. And we'll get back to, when we get back together, that's when we'll talk about it. That's when we'll go through. When I've had a chance to watch it from a non-emotional, state, I'll get emotional when I watch it. I'll get angry. I'll, whatever. But I'm not speaking just out of pure emotion. So that's what I try to do.
Jeff, from what you saw tonight of Duke, do you think that's a team that deserves a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament?
Well, you have to earn a #1 seed. I think if they can finish out the regular season and if they can, go to the, ACC tournament and make a run, then yeah, I think they are. I think they're as good. I think they're as good as anyone. I think they're as good as anyone I've seen. I haven't seen everyone, but there's talented and they're as good as anyone that I've seen. And if they shoot the basketball like they've done the last 2 games, then they can be very difficult to beat. I don't think, I know for me, this is my first time seeing them live. Like, you don't realize how big they are. And when they go to quote unquote small ball is Paolo at the 5, it's 6'10", 255. But then they have the ability to switch everything. And then they can take you out of stuff and things like that. And they have a great leader in Wendell Moore, who's an older guy in the program, and it's all about winning. You know what I mean? And then a great mixture of really talented freshmen that understand. Like, one of the things that I was really impressed with Paolo and Keels, they made unbelievable plays, unbelievable shots, and never one time did they celebrate. It was just like business-like. This is what I do. Let me get back and play defense. And that was really impressive, especially for 2 young guys.
You talked about their size and talent there, Jeff. I mean, how much does that factor into a slower start where they build a big lead? Like, it's one thing to scout them, watch them on film, be told what to do, but when you're actually out there, like, having to face that, I mean, how different is it, and how much do you think that factored into it?
Look, they're really good. They're really talented. I mean, they're really good. And so that all of that factors into it. If you play someone that's really good, then you can get off to a slow start if you're not making shots, if you're turning the basketball over. I mean, they're really good. They're very talented, and they seem to be on a mission together. Like, it doesn't seem like any individual stuff. They're all on a mission. Coach always talks about moments, and having moments. And I think they understand this is a moment. This year is a moment for them, and they want to capitalize and send the guy off with something special.
What did you see from John and how this game progressed?
Yeah, it was interesting because early in the game I felt like that he wasn't aggressive. It was almost like he was anticipating a double. And one of the things we told him at halftime is, they're not doubling you. Just go. Go right through them. Like, go. Don't hesitate. And I thought he did a much better job of that in the second half, of being aggressive and not waiting, just making quick moves. And so I was really pleased with that.
Guys, what seemed to be, I guess, when Duke got out to the 16-3 lead, I mean, what seemed to be the biggest difficulties in those minutes? I mean, was there just a lack of energy? Was there something else?
No, they're a really good team. They were just, they was putting the ball in the hoop, and we had to make adjustment to find a way to stop it. Like I said, they're a really good offensive team, so they were scoring. Our defense got to get picked up.
I mean, how different is it to actually go out there on the court and compete? You know, you all do all this scouting, film stuff. Like, how much different is it to actually go out there and like to compete against those guys like at that size and with their skill sets?
I mean, it's much different. You don't got Mark Williams who's 7'1", or Pablo who's 6'10", or Trevor Kills who's 6'5". You know, you got scout players, so it's obviously different.
They shot 59% from the game. Did you feel that was more a product of the shots they were making or the defense that you guys played?
Well, they're seeing some tough shots, you know, tough contested fadeaways, contested threes. You know, we obviously could have made some adjustments to pick up the defense a little bit more, but it was just hitting some tough shots tonight.
How do you recover when you're facing a team? I mean, they're hitting shots from outside. They're driving really well. It forces you guys to be that much more disciplined on defense. And it seems like one mistake can lead to a rush.
Mm-hmm.
How do you respond? How do you respond in those moments when you're facing something like that?
Just keep playing hard.
Yeah, you know, we got to kind of just collect ourselves, you know, try to stay composed. Just stick together, you know, we got to realize, like you said, turnovers is costing us, missed blockouts for offensive rebounds. So, you know, we got to just really, we have to adjust those things and try to have a better sense of urgency, I guess.
Ventura is one of the best forwards in your league. What was it like facing him?
It was a regular matchup, you know,
Yeah.
just like facing anybody else who we play. A regular matchup, just with a different jersey on.
Yeah, you know, it obviously led up to a very difficult matchup. But I mean, y'all had the previous 6 days off. I mean, what did y'all do during that period of time? Was it helpful at all, like having that much time off, being able to relax, kind of reset a little bit?
Yeah, because, you know, we had a stretch of games. I don't know what it was, but we had a long stretch of games. And even when we had the one off day, it didn't really feel like that much of an off day. So I think the biggest thing was, you know, to get us some rest. And, you know, guys are still in here getting work and getting treatment and everything like that. So I think the 6 days really did help us.
Well, it seemed like it took you a little bit longer to get going or to be able to get scoring. What were some of the things they were doing to challenge to make it harder for you to get your game going?
They just, you know, really sound defensively. You know, you could tell they follow the team principles and everything like that. They were really gapped up. You know, they, like you said earlier, they're a big physical team. You got 7-1 leading shot block in the conference in there. So, you know, it's a little bit tough, but, you know, at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and play and just keep moving forward. Just keep going.
John, what was your general plan and strategy going into tonight's matchup against Williams? He's a guy who's probably one of the favorites for ACC Defensive Player of the Year. What were you trying to do against him? What do you think you did well against him?
You know, just play the way I've been playing the whole season, just attack him. You know, just play the way I've been playing the whole season, nothing different. You know, just knocking down my shots, playing how Coach wanted us to play, basically.
Yeah, was there any sort of, I don't want to say adjustment to it, but was it different playing in this sort of an atmosphere where it's the biggest crowd y'all have had all season? There's a certain level of excitement and hype with this game. I mean, as players on the court, like how much of it all do you guys feel that?
I mean, you know, we certainly feel it for sure. You know, the fact that there was people here before we even came out to stretch or anything like that. But we've been in a situation before. You know, we played in Madison Square Garden, we played in UNC. Obviously, playing here in front of our fans is a little bit different, you know, because it's our fans, you know. But, I mean, we've been in these situations before, but it definitely helps get the team, you know, juiced up and, you know, just we understand that this game is a little bit more important, but at the end of the day, it's just another game. That's the way you got to kind of look at it.
You guys have been through a lot this year, obviously, you know, losing streaks, winning streaks, personnel changes, and more. How would you compare the team chemistry, you know, the feeling around the locker room right now as to day one of the season?
It's pretty good, you know. Well, I wouldn't say I'm proud of all these guys. You know, like you said, we've been through a lot of things throughout the season, you know, players dealing with certain things and everything like that, and the fact that, you know, guys stepped in every single day and did what they can to stay together, you know, keep things going and just show up every single day. That's what Coach Capel told us since day one, you know, just show up, make no excuses, and do what you got to do. So regardless of whatever circumstances we had, you know, we can't make that excuse. We got to just do what we got to do.
What do you think, or what do you guys have to do, I guess, in difficult moments, especially with the season winding down here, to stay together and to sort of keep some sort of collective confidence and sense of camaraderie?
I mean, you just gotta believe, You gotta be selfless. You gotta know that every time you put on this jersey, every time you step on the court, you're not only doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your teammates, your coaches, the fans, your family, everything like that. So regardless of how things is going, at the end of the day, you should have multiple reasons, if not for anyone else, at least for yourself, to go out there and do what you gotta do.
Obviously, this is Coach K's last time here, and it's hard to digest right after the game, but do you think in time you'll sort of appreciate being a part of this moment?
Yeah, for sure. When he had that ceremony before the game, that was really cool. That was really cool. I think that was when it kind of hit me a little bit that what was really happening, what was really going on. I grew up watching everything. So it was kind of crazy just seeing that, and he's a legend. So.
Thanks, guys.